Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfries, back with episode 58 of our Reddit series. This one's going to be some more Entitled Parents, and I know you're going to love this one. This will be the first full episode of Entitled Parents in night mode, so let me know what you think of that in the comments below. I think it looks really good, so hopefully you guys do as well. Now sit back, relax, and get annoyed at some Entitled Parents. So, I'm enrolled in a small-scale MMA program that my parents signed me up for against my will. It's boring overall because I only weigh 90 pounds, yet I'm still very strong for my weight. I can't hold a candle to heavyweights or midweights, but I win nearly every fight in my category and they aren't allowed to move me. The only person I don't consistently win against is called F, who is another kid who ditched the recommended fighting style list and uses his own fighting style like me. We often get together to teach each other moves that we came up with. Fast forward to yesterday, tournament day. I had just finished going up against F, who was in the same bracket as me for the quarterfinals, and now I was doing the semi-finals against K. F was cheering me on from the sidelines and his face bruising from taking my right knee multiple times. He still had the biggest smile on his face, even though he lost. The fight was over in a minute. K tried to throw a hook at me when I leaned left and slammed my knee into his stomach while also bringing my elbow down on his back, knocking the wind out of him. I swept his leg and leaned back against the edge of the arena when he tried to come at me again. I pulled my leg behind his and slammed him into the ground, head first. I leaned back against the arena again, only to suddenly get punched in the back of the head. I turned around and the entitled mum was trying to climb into the arena. Kay tried to push her back out of the arena, but she just forced her way through him and walked towards me. She tried to punch me, and since I knew there could be consequences for fighting her, I just put her in an arm lock and waited for the refs to do something. They didn't do anything until the entitled mum started screaming. The entitled mum screams, "Security! She's assaulting me! Please, someone help!" The referee then goes, "Ma'am, why are you in the arena?" And F goes, "Her kid was losing, so she climbed in and tried to win the fight for her kid." And then she goes, "He's lying. I'll have both of you brats arrested for assault and for criminal conspiracy." I felt like cracking a joke, so I did. Wrong move. I said to her, "Lady, maybe lay off the edibles for a while." And this lady punches me directly in the kneecap and tries to body slam me when I rolled out of the way just in time. At this point, the refs had jumped in the arena and were restraining her. Police were called, and when they arrived, what a sight they saw. An angry 40-year-old mother aggressively trying to headbutt and kick the referees that were restraining her, while a 15-year-old girl sat there in the arena doing absolutely nothing but watching. When they arrive, the entitled mum says, "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This teenage devil assaulted me. Press charges." The officers shoot me a look that told me they knew she was lying. After watching the camera footage, they got all they needed. They asked if I wanted to press charges, and I was going to say yes, but I saw Kay looking at me desperately. I reluctantly said no because Kay took defeat graciously, and even tried to offer me $20 as compensation. So I felt like if his mum got arrested for assault, it wouldn't be fair to leave him without a mum. Kinda having some regrets letting her get off like that, but can't change it now. I swear reading this, it seemed like it was some kind of comedy sketch that should be on SNL. I don't think there's been a time in 57 episodes of recording that I've had to stop and start so much because I could not stop laughing. Like yeah, what the entitled mum did was wrong, but can you imagine a grown woman trying to jump into the arena to attack a 15-year-old girl because she was beating her son? I really don't know. Some of these entitled parents are comedic gold. My pregnancy was okay up until the last month. It was 95 degrees outside and I was retaining so much water. My sandals hardly fit on the biggest setting and I was constantly in pain. It sucked. I run, or should I say waddle to the store for a couple of last minute things for the baby, and I was so relieved that there was a parking spot for pregnant ladies and parents near the entrance. I pulled in and took a few moments to chug some water and gather my things when I noticed a car pull up to my left. They were half in the handicap park stall and yelling something out the window. I rolled my window down and hear, "You shouldn't be in that space, you don't have kids. My son shouldn't have to walk from the back of the parking lot," or something to that effect. I was a little stunned to be yelled at, to be honest. I calmly told her that I was very pregnant and this stall was for pregnant women too. She kept talking to her son, but at me. You know what I mean? Saying things like, "Sorry son, you'll have to walk in the heat because this lady parked in our spot." So I opened my door and hoisted my giant land whale-esque body out of the car. She was still turned around talking to her son, and when she finally saw me, I was about 3 foot away from her window. I bent down and said, "Do you see how pregnant I am? I think you and your son will be okay walking." And then I saw the son, who was like 7. The kid can walk. She just sighed and drove away. I was so pissed and I really wish I said more to her. Now let me know if I'm wrong, but typically are these car parks not for people that have strollers or are pregnant? To my knowledge, you having a 7-year-old son who can walk on his own 2 feet doesn't really constitute you being able to have a car park out the front of the store. But hey, maybe that's just me being pedantic and wanting people to follow the rules, but I guess entitled parents don't see things that way. I never thought I'd be posting here, but this just recently happened a week ago. I'm almost graduating high school and I have a job at the supermarket, bagging items, stocking merchandise, etc. But I'm still shaken up and decided this place would be a good place to put my experience. This day, it was pretty rainy, so there were barely any people in the store and I was fixing any products that were out of order. I was just chilling since there was barely anything to do. Cue the entitled parent and the entitled kid come strolling into the store, and I don't pay mind to the woman because she has that "can I speak to the manager" haircut. I'm already kind of wary of this woman, so I try to mind my own business and do my job. She sees me and rolls my eyes, muttering something about lazy teenagers even though I have a job. But whatever, and she rudely asks without a please or anything where the drinks are. I tell her which aisle they are and she loudly exclaims, "Excuse me, are you gonna take me there or what? Take me there now or I'll speak to the manager. This is why you get paid." I only nod and don't say anything. So I take her to where the drinks are and she doesn't say thanks or anything, only scoffs and pushes me away. So I'm fixing some stuff that fell on the floor not too far away, and I see the entitled kid climbing onto the ledge where the drinks are. So I say to the entitled mum, "Excuse me, we just mopped the floor so it's slippery. And plus, your son can't be climbing that. It can fall or he can get hurt." I said this as politely as possible, and I don't want to get in trouble cause of some kid. You know, applying to colleges and a record won't do me any good. She gives me a nasty glare and snaps, "Don't tell me how to raise my child. Mind your own effing business." Her kid is still climbing the ledge part where the alcohol is, and I'm getting more anxious just looking at the kid. So while the mum is busy, I go to him and ask, "Hey, can you please get off? You can get hurt." And he starts screaming for his mother and she comes running like a mad bull. She asks him if he's okay and if I hurt him, and he tells her, "She's not letting me play." She starts yelling at me, insulting me, calling me stupid and whatnot. She threatens me that she knows the manager and she will get me fired. She tells me to F off and continues to shop for wine while her kid is climbing on that ledge, and I get a bad feeling when I see him jump down hard and everything starts to shake. I run and tackle this kid to the ground to push him out of the way. Right at that moment, the whole drinks fall onto the ground. There is red everywhere since it was part of the wine aisle, and I see that I've badly cut myself. The kid is crying, probably because I pushed him, and the mum comes running and she starts shrieking like a banshee. "This stupid teenager tried to kill my son." I told her that I literally saved her son's life since he could have been crushed or hurt badly by the glass. My thigh is bleeding since it got cut, and she grabs my arm, digging her nails in, saying, "You're not going anywhere. I'm pressing charges and calling the police, you murderer." I think I want to cry because I'm losing blood and she had a strong grip on my arm. The police arrive and I'm literally about to be escorted away as the entitled parent watches me smugly when the manager comes running. I explain everything to him since he's known me since elementary and I'm not an evil child killer. He tells me he has everything on camera and I almost cry in relief. The entitled parent seems to go a little pale, but is still insistent on pressing charges at me and the store, demanding that I be arrested for the assault of her kid. The police review everything and even an eyewitness who saw and heard everything pitches in. The manager and police said I did the right thing and say I can press charges because the entitled parent hurt my arm pretty badly. She's still fuming and now is threatening the police, so she's taken away and arrested. The kid is picked up by whom I presume is his dad, and I'm taken to the hospital to treat the glass shards in my leg. If I'm pretty badly hurt from a few shards of glass, I can't imagine what would have happened to the kid if he was still there climbing. I don't think I could have forgiven myself if I had let him get hurt. You know, I know parents in this situation who would have treated this kid like an absolute hero. On the other hand, you have entitled parents who see someone save their kid and they call him out to be a murderer. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide who the better type of person is. So this happened around 10 or 11 years ago, so I don't recall every word that was said throughout this event, but here goes. Also, this is a long story, so prepare yourself with some popcorn. For some backstory, my grandparents had recently purchased a new vacation house, which me, my friend, my mother and her friend got to stay in over the weekend. Our house had a few close neighbours who were all retired couples, and there was a huge field that divided our neighbourhood from another couple of houses. This information will be important later on. Me and my friend were playing around near the pond that we had in our garden, while my mother and her friend were preparing a snack since we had planned that we were going to go to the beach later on. All of a sudden, a man stomps into the veranda that my mother and her friend are on, and I barely have time to notice him before my attention is grabbed by two young kids who had creeped up behind me and my friend. They'd gotten into a fight and the younger kid was crying her eyes out. I was so shocked that I just froze, and so did my friend. A minute or so later, the man who had spoken with my mother just left, but the kids stayed behind. My mother had a mortified look on her face and I couldn't grasp the situation. What had happened was that a man who wasn't a close neighbor to our residence had told my mother that he'd leave his kids with us for some time since he wanted to text my wife in peace and quiet. He didn't disclose where he lived, what his name was, or any contact information. He left so quickly that my mother didn't react in time, and there we were, with two kids who we didn't know in our care for an undisclosed amount of time. The kids hated it, and I couldn't really like them any less. They ran around the yard, tried to run away, slapped us when we tried to intervene, almost fell into the pond, etc. Nightmare. We had to cancel our plans to go to the beach since we weren't comfortable bringing strangers with us. One of the kids finally told us where they lived after countless hours of hell on earth. To get to their home, we had to go across that huge field, and the younger kid wasn't having any of it. We had to drag her across the entire field. What would take 10 minutes to cross now took a good 30 to 45 minutes. You had to cross a ditch in order to get to their house, and their dad was outside. The dad became so pissed when he saw us. We were supposed to babysit for him, and how dare we invade his alone time? Honestly, I couldn't care less, and when the kid saw her dad, she took a big leap to get across the ditch, but she face planted in the mud. She was covered in mud, crying once again. The dad starts laughing and runs into his house to get his camera. Instead of helping his kid, he just points and laughs. I help her out of the mud and the father unwillingly has to take care of her. Me and my friend had enough and just ran off. Poor kids. The day after, we saw him approaching once again, and we just ran into our house, locked the door, turned off the lights, laying on the floor so that he couldn't see us. He tried to peek into our windows, knocked on the door, etc. It's so effing creepy that a dad is so entitled that he thinks that strangers must give up their plans in order to take care of his children, and that he became angry when we came back with his children hours later. You know, to start off with a funny story and then some real good stories of just genuinely entitled people, we've now come to a point where we've just got one of the most stupid people I've come across in this series. Then again, when you're an entitled parent, nothing's off limits. Every service in the world is free, and everyone must drop everything that they're doing for you at any given time. If you're looking for a prime example to learn how to be a bad parent and an entitled parent at the same time, well, just hit this guy up. Alright everyone, that is that for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. As I mentioned at the start of the video, this was our first Entitled Parents episode just on night mode, so I know we'll get a little bit more feedback around this, so please do make sure to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of it. Obviously there's always room for improvement, so let me know if you like that background while the stories are being told, or if you'd rather just have it a black background as well. It's completely up to you guys, and like I always say, this content is made for you all, so please let me know what you want to see. Now, something else I wanted to touch on was different subreddits. I feel like we've done quite a lot of the same ones lately. Obviously, Entitled Parents is the main one, and you guys want to see that, that's absolutely fine. But outside of that, I feel like we've been doing the Revenge series quite a bit, and we perhaps haven't branched out into other subreddits that much lately. So maybe let me know in the comments as well what you guys want to see in terms of subreddits, and I'll make sure to check all of them out. But that'll pretty much wrap things up for today's video. I do just want to remind you that I do have a Twitter and Instagram account. They are both at Bumfries if you want to follow me, and feel free to send me a message as well. I've been responding to as many of them as I can lately. Even say hi, we'll have a little conversation, whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, that is that for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another Reddit video. Bye.